Okay, can I call this meeting to order? May I have a roll call, please?
Director Baker,
Here.
Director Case,
Here.
Director Foley,
Here.
Director Hill,
Present.
Director Mendieta Reynolds,
Here.
Director Moore McCundy,
Here.
Director Najib,
Here.
Director Owen Moore.
Here.
Director Prince.
Here.
Are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Yes, we are in compliance.
Okay. So our first agenda item is comments from the public. We have a board policy A0107 that states no person may speak more than once to an issue or for a period longer than 5 minutes, except upon consent of the majority of the district board. No more than 3 people may be heard to one side of an issue, except upon the consent of a majority of the district board. I want to remind the public that negative public comments identifying specific personnel via name or position are not appropriate for presentation to the board in public session. Okay, board, we have 3 different topics. On the topic of the closing of the multicultural office, we have 7 people signed up, which is beyond our board policy. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules currently so that those 7 people can be heard.
I'll second that.
Is clarifying question, would you like to say that the full 5 minutes is allotted to each person, or should we, as we've done in the past, shorten the time per person in the interest of time and other speakers?
Can we ask that y'all speak up so the individuals back here can hear you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. I'll leave it at the chair's discretion. However, I want to make sure that people are heard. I would go for the full 5 minutes, Madam Chair.
Is there any other comments from the board members in the room?
I would move to amend the motion by limiting the time permitted for each speaker to 3 minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second on the amendment, or is there?
Second.
Okay. Any comments from the board members online? Okay, so we have a motion and a second for allowing all speakers to speak with a limit of 3 minutes for a time frame.
Just point of order, Madam
Yes.
Chair, we would vote on the amendment first.
Okay, got it. So can we vote on the amendment? Do we need a roll call or
No.
voice vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. What are we?
I think that was 5-3,
Yes,
so the motion passes.
okay. So motion passes
Now you do the vote on the
on the,
Main
motion as amended.
okay. So now can I have a voice vote on the motion as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
So I think we have 8-1.
Yes.
Okay, so motion passes. Okay, so for public comments, we will hear all speakers that signed up. There will be a 3-minute time limit on each speaker. Pete, could you keep time for us? Okay, so
Point of order, is that just for the multicultural section or is that for all speakers today?
How many do you have on the other ones?
we have 3, we're within policy on the other 2 topics, so I would say for just the multicultural. Unless somebody disagrees.
Madam Chair, I'll go with your discretion on it.
Thank you. So just for the topic of multicultural. The other 2 topics will have the full 5 minutes. So we'll start with Richard Eaton.
Right here. Should be at the end of the case.
You got it, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, president. I'm here speaking on the part-time pay. right here.
That's a different topic.
And it's was presented to us. MATC new part-time faculty progression and pay model and the model guide. And it was taking you from the old pay system to the new pay system if you met all the requirements, which I did and many of our colleagues at the truck driving training school in Oak Creek did. I just want to read you, it's long-winded, but it's fine. But I want to just read you the part that's particularly made me switch over as not just only, but here's what it says. The new model has the advantage of no participating part-time faculty will incur a pay reduction for summer teaching, period. Part-time faculty had a 7% reduction in their pay rate for summer rates in the old system. So it was kind of shocked to me that when I was teaching this summer, the very first check that I received had the 7% pay cut. And I was kind of like, what's that about? I went back and found it and thought, well, so I tried to get a hold of some people and I called my rep and now we're here. So let me just fill you in on what the truck driving does. I used to work at WCTC after I retired from working for PIE and Roadway Express for 35 years. And my last 25 years, I was your downtown driver, yes, to this facility, and you're really easy to get to loading dock. 12 years ago, I walked in, I had a meeting, walked in with Provost Vicki Martin. And I presented to her why we don't have a truck driving school in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, or in Milwaukee County. Since being a part-time instructor out at WCTC, half of the students were taking buses out to Oconomowoc. I'm thinking, well, you're not serving this community. And she didn't think they had the facility for it. But when I presented what we have at Oak Creek, she was interested in it. And a few months went by, and I know this board had to approve this, and it went to the state for approval. And we did get the approval. Now, the program started in 2013. We hired one full-time person, Peter Jellin, and two part-time people, myself and Chris Barsos. We had 5 students, no classroom, a couple of trucks, and off we go. As time goes on, the federal government gets involved with CDL truck driver training, and they implement a program called entry-level truck driver training. There's all kinds of stringent rules that have to be followed to the T. Now, recently, I think you've all seen the accident in Florida. Maybe, maybe not. But some schools don't follow those rules. And it leads to some tragedies. We follow them to the T. We are a member of the National Association of Professional Truck Driver Training Schools, tech colleges. Our one of our full-time people is a member of that. His name is Dan Z. He got to the program, and it's tech colleges from across the country, every state. Guy's really intelligent. He knows what's going on. He was elected vice president a few years ago. Great opportunity. Good for our school. But I found out now just recently that they had another meeting. They have one, I think, once a year. He was elected to be the next president of this organization. And they keep in touch with Washington and everything that's coming down. And we know how that works. So, the people that graduate from this college, not just from my school, but from others, we're considered an Ivy League tech college right now. And I can prove it, and I'll tell you why. A few years ago, we went to a company called XPO, major company. I'm sure you've seen their trucks running around. We had 12 people there, and the guy comes up and he says, how many people think I'm going to hire right now? He's had a hat in his hand, and nobody got the right answer. The right answer was nobody. Not gonna hire anybody. And he says, now I know you're wondering, why are you here? Exactly what he said. Because in 3 to 4 months, I know 2 people are gonna be retiring from my company. And I'm gonna hire 2 people from this class because I know how stringent and how great you teach our students. And he did hire them students.
Mr. Eaton, you're at time, so I need you to,
Pardon me?
you are at time. You've reached your 5-minute time
It's
limit.
5 minutes?
Yes.
You don't want to hear the rest?
Well, in respect of our board policy and all of the other speakers, I do need you to wrap up so that we can hear.
Done?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's pretty quick, 5 minutes.
Next we have, on the same topic of part-time faculty pay, we have Dewey.
Oh, excuse me, another, if people have written, if they have their lunch written, they can leave on.
Thank you. My name is Dewey Caton, and if I look familiar, that's because I was here in June. I am the VP of Part-Time Faculty at MATC. And I don't know if they're new board members or not, but just as a reminder, we have about 835 part-time faculty employed by the college with teaching rights, and about 535 teach in a given semester. We're here to talk, to build on Rick's comments, and I apologize that he timed out there. He was going to share that he relied on the model guide that he referenced, and the fact that in that it says very directly that if you join the new part-time faculty pay model, you will not have your pay cut in the summer, starting in the summer of 2025. And that was important to him and his colleagues in moving to the new pay system. Hopefully the other board members can hear. We're getting some weird sounds. All right. But anyhow, thank you again for the opportunity to speak, Chair Case, Board, and President Cruz. At the last board meeting, we did raise 3 key concerns. One was the reduction of pay for the summer, this past summer, the failure to disclose a maximum pay rate applicable to part-time faculty in the new pay system, when here at the college we are on a range system. The board understands that. I know they've adopted that in the past. And then the alteration of policy documents that had been provided to this employee group upon which they relied in moving to the new pay system, and policy documents that are provided to new part-time faculty hires throughout this past year. So as a reminder, this part-time faculty pay program rolled out in August of 2024, and it was optional for the existing part-time faculty to move to the new pay system, except for a very small cohort. We appreciate the time that Dr. Cruz provided to us. We met with him on July 10th. We subsequently also participated in a plan, do, check, and adjust meeting, but unfortunately it did not address these 3 key issues: summer pay, maximum pay rate, and the adjustment of documents and policy documents really probably wouldn't be appropriate for that meeting anyhow. But I would like to first address the adjustment of documents issue. If the board has been provided a document that said that the issue of summer pay was pending review, I just want to make it clear that that pending review language or subject to approval was added in May of 2025 or June of 2025. How do I know? I was one of the co-presenters on behalf of the college to all of the part-time faculty leads and 4 separate meetings to part-time faculty. So I presented along with a colleague in the Human Resources Department compensation group to explain the part-time faculty program. We know what the model guide says. It says you will not have your summer pay cut if you move to the new pay system. We know what the frequently asked questions said, both verbally, recorded in video, and typed up by Human Resources and uploaded to the My MATC portal. It says unequivocally, there's level pay throughout the year. You will not have your pay cut in the new system. We know what the slide deck says. It says the same thing. And we prepared the evidence and provided it to Dr. Cruz on July 10. Just as a reminder, in the June meeting, I did ask, Local 212 asked if there could please be an independent examination of what happened, if it's relevant. And we submit to you, it is really relevant. Over 200 existing part-time faculty moved to the new pay system. I was shocked to figure out that this summer, over 134 part-time faculty in the new pay system taught this summer. And I'm presuming every single one of them had their hourly pay cut by 7.23%. I'm here to also advise the board that these employees, I'm not one in that cohort because I'm in the original pay program, but this cohort of employees have the right, and in Local 212's opinion, to file wage claims for underpayment of wages with the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, and they have started filing. So that is something that they don't do lightly. Mr. Eaton wasn't here lightly. You're going to hear a letter read by a colleague next who could not be here, unfortunately. She does not come forward lightly. She's only been with the college a couple of semesters. I was inundated actually, as having been a presenter, by faculty leads and faculty saying what's going on this summer. There was a firm commitment made to us. So I'm out of time. We did present the documents to Dr. Cruz. I don't feel comfortable providing them directly to the board. They do contain names, dates, times, that kind of thing, but it does exist. And I just want to say also that Dr. Isahaku and Dr. King did meet with us yesterday. We had a scheduling conflict, so we weren't able to have the right HR person at that meeting. We're hopeful that we can reach an understanding on this, and the college has offered for next summer, we don't understand the details yet, to keep level pay for part-time faculty. But we felt it was important because it was asked to provide an update that you make sure you hear from the employee group in question. Thank you for your indulgence on a very busy day. We appreciate it greatly.
Thank you. I have same topic, Hughes Crash Crawford next.
Thank you very much for taking the time to let me speak. My name is Crash Crawford, and I am an instructor part-time here at the college. And I'm also the Deputy Vice President for part-time faculty with Local 212. As befitting most part-time instructors, life happens. And so my colleague, Ann Sarnowski, was not able to make it today as planned, but she, with her authorization and encouragement, I am reading a statement on her behalf. She is an instructor in the speech department. This is dated August 26th, 2025. Dear MATC District Board of Directors, I am writing to express my deep concern regarding the part-time faculty pay structure and the manner in which related changes were communicated. This summer, I discovered that my hourly pay had been reduced by approximately 7% compared to the previous semester. When I sought clarification from Human Resources and Payroll at MATC, I was informed that summer pay had been reduced under the new part-time faculty pay structure. However, this reduction was neither addressed in the informational meetings leading up to the transition from the old pay structure, nor communicated through any subsequent updates. The process of transitioning to the new pay structure was not simple. I was motivated to undertake this challenge because of the potential for increased pay, and I dedicated significant effort to meeting the requirements. In order to qualify, I completed 5 courses, worked with a faculty mentor who evaluated my teaching and collaborated on an action plan for continuous improvement, and met with my dean for final approval. While part-time faculty are typically given 5 years to meet these requirements, I completed mine within 3 semesters. To then discover that my pay had been reduced this summer was both discouraging and disheartening. As someone who has worked in human resources professionally, I have always valued organizations that treat employees with transparency and respect. In my prior roles, communication about pay, benefits, and policy changes were clear, timely, and considerate of employees' experiences. Unfortunately, my recent interactions at MATC have left me feeling misled and disappointed. The lack of transparency and proactive communication has been frustrating and inconsistent with the standards I've come to expect from a human resources department. I will continue to remain committed to the success of MATC students and to contributing meaningfully as a faculty member. I sincerely hope that leadership will take this opportunity to rebuild trust by ensuring fairness, clarity, and open communication with all employees moving forward. Sincerely, Ann Sarnowski, Instructor, Speech Department. And I have copies of that for all the board members if you'd like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next topic, mapping a path forward, Lisa Conley.
Sure.
Super flow. I hope I can get up at the end. Members of the MATC board, colleagues, students, and community members here and watching virtually. Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know, I am Dr. Lisa Conley, Biological Sciences faculty member and president of the American Federation of Teachers, Local 212, the union representing MATC's full and part-time faculty, all professional staff, and the MPBS engineers and production specialists. To Chairperson Case, congratulations on your election. To those of you continuing in your roles as board members, thank you for your continued service to MATC. To our newest board member, Director Hill, welcome. While your adventure is just beginning, I hope that if you are not so already, that you will quickly come to appreciate how important MATC is to our community, and the same for your role in shaping our school's future. I look forward to opportunities for us to get to know each other and to discuss the issues before us. At this point, as some of you may have experienced, I usually offer everyone a big welcome back to a new school year, and I do so now. But I also share that this go around has been the most stressful that I can recall, and I've seen 21 of these, including during the pandemic. From staffing shortages to construction fallout, unilateral scheduler load changes to the parking debacle, sudden cessation of tried and true practices to implementation of new ones on short notice, and of course, pressures from external forces and restructuring decisions about which many are here today and for which Local 212 has a statement available upon request. MATC and its workforce is under stress and under duress. Precipitated by the tumultuous start of the semester, Local 212 hosted an emergency information sharing session where just short of 100 attendees attended the 90-minute session across all of our bargaining units. And this was last week, Friday. Now, this was an amazing turnout, again, with less than 8 hours notice and on a late Friday afternoon. There were 5 main buckets of concern which are voiced during that about closer to 2-hour session. 1 was weakened voice in the workplace. 2, feeling unappreciated and that contributions were undervalued. 3, complications from the parking changes. 4, as was just related to you, part-time faculty pay model issues. And of course, 5, closure of multicultural affairs and treatment of the 4 colleagues affected. The unfortunate news is that many of these issues contributing to our tumultuous start could have been avoided. The good news is that some progress, mostly focusing on addressing those of immediate concern, has been made on most of the issues above. There are many, however, that are going to require more long-range work. And more good news is that the path forward for these long-range changes is possible, but it must include, among other things, knowing, understanding, and following published policy, collecting and making decisions based upon good, clean data, and then using it to answer appropriate questions, improved communication, keeping to MATC's mission, vision, and values as guideposts, remembering that we are in the people business and people are messy, and even so deserve grace and kindness. And of course, having the right people at the table at the right time in problem solving and decision making, including those that work most closely with and best know our students and are the main engine in keeping MATC going. So knowing you've got a long meeting ahead of you, I'll leave you with this as we move forward. Our students are not a statistic or metric. They are not a demographic. They are not a threat, and they are not the other. They are people with inherent value, unmatched resilience, grit, and immense gifts, knowledge, and potential. And so too are METC's employees. I ask that you keep this in mind as we work together to address what ails us, including the issues being brought forward to your attention today, and for which Local 212 has a statement for that related to multicultural fairs and the condition of the 4 affected employees. It's important that we work together to do this so that we truly can ascend together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we will shift over to the speakers here for the closing of the multicultural office. As a reminder, we will have 3 minutes per speaker. So Kate Erickson.
Good afternoon. My name is Kate Erickson. I'm a citizen of the United Nations and full-time faculty member here at MATC. I'm an elected member of the Cedarburg School Board, but however, I am here today primarily speaking as the president of the Wisconsin Indian Education Association. Given the various positions I hold, I am well aware of how MATC operates and what responsibilities fall on those in the district board positions. I'm also aware of how decisions can be made without proper consultation, dialogue. Decisions that are directly against what MATC claims to be its push for a caring culture, student success, and a desire for community outreach and partnership. In the 15 years that I've been here at MATC, we went from 2 advisors in the American Indian Student Services with the budget for programming, the annual powwow, and a recruiter, to 1 advisor and 1 recruiter, then no advisor and no recruiter. After the retirement of our prior advisor, I had to step in and process student tribal paperwork and financial aid. Why is that? For at least 6 months after our previous advisor retired, the position was left vacant. Student paperwork and checks were literally piling up, and as one of the only Indigenous faculty or staff, students were coming to me for assistance. Emails and calls from tribal higher ed were going unanswered, and students' undispersed checks were sitting on a desk in financial aid. The head of financial aid hadn't seen the importance of showing staff how to handle student tribal grants, and at that time, the 1 staff member who did know how was out on medical leave, and there were literally tens of thousands of dollars of checks sitting on his desk. So I, and a student worker, took over. I, as a full-time faculty member with a full course load, began processing student paperwork and financial aid checks, and began working to repair the damage that MATC had done with the tribal higher ed offices. We had students facing evictions and being dropped from their courses because the school hadn't processed the checks from their nations and sent them the disbursements for their living expenses. After enough outrage from the community, Tanya Torres was finally hired as the American Indian Students Services Advisor and began the tireless work of trying to fix the mess the administration had created. Ending the American Indian Advisor position will be the end of the relationship that the college has with the tribal higher ed departments. These offices belong to independent sovereign nations. These are not just community organizations. In a nutshell, no more students with guaranteed tribal grant money coming in. Southeast Wisconsin and the Milwaukee metro area have a higher Indigenous population than the rest of the state combined, and MATC will be throwing away the opportunity to educate those current and future students, as well as the opportunity for tribal partnership and investment. The American Indian position and Tanya Torres need to be retained. If the position and the other advisory positions need to be renamed to temporarily appease federal foolishness, so be it. MATC regularly fails to realize that when combined, the tribes are among the top 5 largest employers in the state. I cannot possibly stress this enough. The tribal nations do not forget these things, and they look past and forgive even less, especially when they've been down this path before with MATC. Time's up.
Yeah. Thank you. Next speaker is Kelly Logan.
It's on your right side if you want to bring it up, so.
That's right. Like I say, good evening to you, the board, the president. My name is Kelly Logan. My mother worked as a Native American counselor, and she got all my brothers and sisters through MATC college. But the main one I want to talk about is myself. I grew up in this city, came from South Division, and these streets were pretty tough with me. The only place I could go was this multicultural center to feel comfortable. I went full-time sometimes part-time, sometimes one class. I finally graduated in 2005. And not only did my mother help me, but the Afro-American counselor, the Hispanic, the Asian, they would help me too. Because my mother wasn't always there. She had a lot of people she was helping. I would have never made it. I'd probably just be a statistic right now if it weren't for that center. I really know that. I believe that. And I worry about that with some of the students now coming up. And on the other side of that, my mother is Patricia Logan. And we go places and people come up to us and thank her. She changed their life. That center changed their life. I've heard it endless amount of times. 50 times they came up to her and thanked her. Just today there was one. He got through school. He wanted to quit, but my mom motivated her. And the same thing, he said, well, the other counselors would have helped me also. And then even on another note, this community can be mad. The streets can be bad. But I believe this education is the only way out. I got out of there. I had cousins and friends who got out because and of course they were Native or they were a minority and they went through that center just like me. Made a lot of friends. And I live in Wisconsin Dells. As soon as I heard about this yesterday, I said, I'm going down there. I got something to say and I don't do things like this, but I felt so compelled to come and do this. Say something, speak up for these kids that they need just that little bit of help, feel comfortable. And it is the minorities. I mean, we can be honest about that. And that's really all I had to say, but I wanted to come down here. And like I said, I'm going right back up to Wisconsin Dells again. And please think about keeping them there because they're going to save some lives. No doubt, they're going to save some lives. I know that. So that's all I kind of wanted to say today. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm having a little hard time reading the handwriting. Floyd Griffin.
Judge.
My name is Floyd C. Griffin III, and I currently serve as a student service specialist in the Multicultural Affairs Office. As of September 18th, I will no longer hold this position due to the college's decision to eliminate it as part of its so-called restructuring. I stand before you today not as someone who has already been cast out, but as someone being forced out. I'm living through the indignity of working day after day, knowing that my service, my dedication, and my livelihood have already been dismissed by leadership. I stand here as a grieving son. I just buried my parent when this decision was made. Leadership knew my circumstances. They knew I was in the midst of loss, and yet they moved forward without pause, without compassion, without care. For me, this came in the shadow of my parents' death. For one of my colleagues, the notice came while they were out on vacation. That is how MATC chose to handle this process at the most vulnerable and disruptive moments of our lives. We were given less than 15 minutes to choose between two last days, the day of notification or September 18th. Immediately afterward, we were pushed into HR meetings by Dan McColgan with no chance to breathe, to process, or to prepare ourselves. After years of commitment, this is how the college treats its employees of color: rushed, silenced, and discarded. There are questions that remain unanswered, and the silence around them only deepens the mistrust. Why was our manager, whose role aligns directly with the newly created Office of Community Impact, protected and even advocated for while 4 specialists of color were eliminated? When were the 2 new positions created, and why was this kept hidden until after we received our notices? Why were staff simultaneously subjected to disciplinary actions? Was this to disqualify us from applying for other jobs within the college? Why were alternatives like reclassification or reassignment not pursued as they have been for others? I also need to say something that's hard to admit. Many of the leaders driving this decision are themselves leaders of color. This is not just about race in the simplistic sense. It is about a culture of fear and retaliation that's overtaken this institution. A culture so deep that even leaders of color are weaponizing their positions against the very communities they should be protecting. That betrayal cuts to the bone. Because if those who know the struggles of our students and staff won't stand with us, then what chance do we have for real equity? This is not new. Years ago, a senior vice president openly used the language of lynching, hanging a staff member, and was allowed to stay in power, continuing his aggression against Black employees until outside consequences caught up with him. The college did nothing to stop him then. And now in 2025, when 4 specialists of color are terminated at once, the college again does nothing. The message is clear. Retaliation is tolerated, cruelty is normalized, people of color are disposable. And it is happening under a cabinet defined by constant turnover. Most top leaders are new, few have lasting roots here, and none carry the institutional memory needed to lead with wisdom. Decisions are being made without context, without history, and without care. MATC is unlike the other 16 technical colleges in this state. Our student body is majority minority. That means our responsibility is greater. Eliminating multicultural specialists here does not just undermine a department, it undermines the trust of our entire community. When the president says students will be served with or without you, it revealed the truth. Leadership sees us as insignificant. But the 1,000+ petitioners have spoken, know better. The students know better. The community knows better. Board members, this is not only about 4 employees, it is about whether you will accept a culture of fear, retaliation, and betrayal, or whether you will force accountability and restore trust. We demand 1, immediate restatement or reassignment of the 4 terminated specialists, full transparency around the creation of the new roles and the criteria for why some were protected while others were discarded, real protections against retaliation so staff and affinity groups can speak without fear. In closing, I speak today as someone still employed but already treated as expendable. I speak as a grieving son betrayed by an institution I served faithfully. I speak as a professional of color cut down not by outsiders but by leaders, including leaders of color, who chose politics and self-preservation over justice and service. This board must act. If you do not, MATC will not be remembered for community impact, it will be remembered for community betrayal. The students, the staff, and the taxpayers in Milwaukee are watching, and they will not forget. And there's also copies if each you want one of here. You can take one and pass it around.
Thank you. Devin Hayden. Yeah.
Promise to make this quick. Good evening, board. Evening, president. My name is Devin Hayden. I'm a current student enrolled in MATC. I'm also a part-time student ambassador for our Office of Student Life, the secretary of our Gender and Sexualities Alliance, and I've represented MATC on the state level at the Wisconsin Student Government Legislative Seminar last year. I'm a student who is aligned with the federal government's qualification on what is considered DEI. I'm a woman of color, and I identify as queer. MATC's multicultural office was, however, more than a DEI checkbox. It was a safe space, a community, and a place that was created to celebrate cultural differences and shared values. With more than 63% of our students being students of color, and many more of us being first-generation students and children of immigrants in other parts of our marginalized communities. Many of us saw multicultural as a family and a campus we could call our home. Bilingual services, student-run events, free food, cultural events, activities, and celebrations. These are some of the things that this office has provided for its students. To fire our multicultural staff would be a failure of the values that our school has fought to provide. To terminate multicultural is a betrayal to every principle that our staff, faculties, and students have worked for. What is a community without diversity? What is a community without inclusion? What is a community without culture? MATC deserves better. Our students deserve better. Our staff deserves better. We deserve better. And I'm here today using my voice, and I'm demanding that you all reconsider the decision of terminating these 4 positions. Thank you for your time.
My apologies if I mispronounced Cloud. Is it? Sorry if I.
Great job.
May I speak?
Yes.
Greetings, friends, staff, and students. My name is Ying Ta Vu, or many of you may know me as Cloud. First, thank you all for being here today. I want to start by recognizing the challenges we're facing as a community. Across the nation, federal decisions and funding cuts are reshaping colleges and universities. These changes don't just exist on paper, they affect every single one of us. The students who come here seeking opportunities, the faculty who dedicate their lives to teaching, and the staff who keep our institutions running. The impact is real, and is felt in classrooms, in offices, and in the lives of people who call this college home. That's why I'm here today with a humble, heartfelt request. I humbly ask that the 4 multicultural student service specialists be reinstated, this time as the success mentor specialists. I've seen their work firsthand. These weren't just staff members. They were mentors, advocates, and bridges for students from all walks of life. For many students, especially first-generation students, low-income and underrepresented groups, they were the people who made college feel possible. It is not about jobs being cut, it's about relationships, trust, and the safety net that kept so many students from falling through the crack. But here's the good news. You can fix this. You can rebuild stronger. My proposal is simple. Reinstate Annabelle, Tanya, Floyd, and Derek as success mentor specialists to continue offering the guidance and mentorship students need. Seek flexible funding, whether through grants, partnerships, or reallocating student support budgets to keep these positions secure long-term. Track the data to measure how mentorship impacts retention, graduation, and student well-being. Numbers tell us powerful stories, and we can use them to show real impact. Create a feedback involving students, faculty, and staff, so these roles evolve to meet the changing needs of our campus community. Share the success stories so we never forget the real faces and live touched by this support system. This is more about bringing back 4 position. It's about saying to every student, you belong here. We see you. We will not let you fall behind. Because when students succeed, the entire college succeeds. Let's take this challenge and turn it into an opportunity to build a stronger future for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine Newman.
Hello, my name is Christine Newman Ortiz, and I'm the Executive Director of Voces de la Frontera. Voces de la Frontera represents many Latino workers and families in Milwaukee and across the state, and many of which who have directly or, their children attended this very important institution. In addition, I also had the privilege to work at Milwaukee Area Technical College as a high school equivalency coordinator program. So I've had the privilege to work both inside and outside the program with largely low-income Latino working class families, and as just been mentioned, many first-generation students as well. I have always found MATC board as well to be a very important checks and balances and ensuring community input in such an important institution. And I've seen the importance of coming to events like this when important issues arise. And this is certainly an important issue. The closing of the Multicultural Center, the termination of the 4 staff that directly provide these services, is really a major decision, and the board should have been consulted about this decision, and the community members. Important community organizations should have also been consulted about this, because I have seen that when that happens, when students, staff, the board are involved, we are able to be creative and truly address, make sure we right the ship. In the past, when these decisions have taken place, I just want to remind people who were there during that time when there was the childcare centers that were being closed or the adult high school centers, those issues were brought as important policy issues to the board. METC is also supposed to be an important, a really model the kind of workplace that we want. And as we have heard from the staff and the students, this is a really hard blow, both for the staff and the students. There has been a recent decision by a federal court that has actually struck down the Trump administration's threats to cut federal funding for schools and colleges that offer diversity and equity programs, finding that this is unconstitutional. So I really am here to appeal to the board to really step in on this situation, to be able to ensure that the staff are not terminated, and that we move forward with providing the kind of support for all of our working class students, but certainly for students that have been historically marginalized in different ways, and where that space and support is valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Harper.
Hello, everyone. As you all know, my name is Crystal Harper. I'm currently a student of, who will be affected by this as well. Today, I want to emphasize the critical importance of supporting and preserving our faculty, staff, in multicultural services. These professionals are the backbone of fostering an inclusive, welcoming, and ethical environment with our education institutions. Multicultural services play a vital role in bridging gaps between diversity students, population, and staff. Faculty members dedicated to these services are not just educators. They are cultural ambassadors, mentors, and advocates who promote understanding and respect across different backgrounds. Their work enhances the overall campus climate, enriches the learning, experiencing, and prepares the students to thrive in globalized society. However, despite their invaluable circumstances, many of the staffs are being forced out of positions due to a limited time of 15 minutes to make a decision based on what others put together. Upon this, in conclusion, I would like to state, let us recognize the essential roles that the faculty in multicultural services play, and commit a safeguarding their positions. Doing so ensures that our culture withstand with overcoming racism. I would like to thank you all, the staff, for their participation in helping others to thrive and get to where they need to go to, as well as Mr. Matthews as well, for him and his participation when he was once here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for addressing the board and sharing your concerns. The board will not be responding to any matter in adherence to the state of Wisconsin open meetings law, which prevents a governmental body from discussing any specific item that was not publicly noticed on the agenda. All right, next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. May I have a motion for the approval of the minutes, please?
So moved.
Yeah. Second?
Second.
Right, and all in favor? Aye.
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 3A. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next is the approval of the consent agenda items. May I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I move approval.
I'll second, yep. Okay, so now that we have the motion on the table, is there any questions or discussion on any of the items that we have in the consent agenda items? I see it. Is that
That
is
is
that
a
a
hand.
hand? Okay.
I noticed that we have a budget item, for Zancel now. And I'm wondering if we have, is there a process in place for tracking? And is there a process in place for execution and monitoring?
A little bit of both, if I can respond, yes. So I think, working closely with finance, I think they are setting up the budget that reflects both past year, this year. Last year was a matter of expense, this year is a matter of budgeted amount. We're seeing expense in it, so that's on the finance side. The academic side, there's a 3 times a year process, so they have access to submit 3 times a year. We have an upcoming process in the next week. Almost as said, people then have an opportunity to respond, submit the request, we review the requests, and then we look at those allocations, work with each of the deans and respond. So that same process is in place. We experienced that in the spring. We'll do it again in the fall. And again, we're 6 months out. So this next 2 weeks, it'll be for spring. Right, so it's planning in alignment with the creation of the spring schedule. So those are adjusted dates, adjusted processes, and we have a system set up to respond, work with each of the deans, respond back to each of the faculty. And within the context of the savings amount that we indicated, we would also maintain.
Very good. Thank you.
Director Baker?
Yeah, so I have a comment on the HR report. It's probably no surprise. I look at this, and particularly in the fall every year, and I'm disappointed that the diversity of our hires we're still struggling to diversify our workforce. And, you know, I look at particularly things like part-time faculty, because I see that as a place where people come in to the institution, work as a part-timer, and then move on to like full-time. And, you know, it's 65% of the people we hired there identify as white. But, you know, pretty much that's the way the report looks. I know we have some efforts that we're trying. I just would love to see some more results of that. So I don't know if that's something that we need to get more of a report on at some time, or we just continue to track our progress on it. So I'm raising it informationally for people to be aware.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the directors in the room? Directors online? Okay, so we have did I hear something? Okay. So we have a motion from Director Foley and a second from Director Baker. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So next is our resolution for authorizing the issuance of 1.5 million general obligation promissory notes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval of resolution F0374-08-25, authorizing the issuance of 1.5 million general obligation promissory notes, series 2025, 2026D of Milwaukee area, Technical College District, Wisconsin. Got it all.
Thank
You do have to say the whole thing at some point, so.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, so my understanding is because we didn't have a sale that Justin is not here, so is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so if there's any questions, please direct them at Paul. Any questions online? Oh, sorry.
Just for the benefit of our new board member, every month we have a sale and we authorize the next month's sale. At the beginning of the summer, we don't meet every month, and so we authorize some sales within parameters in advance. So normally we would see a motion here to approve the sale that occurred this morning. Well, there wasn't one this morning.
Gotcha.
And this is the authorization to proceed with the sale next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I have a motion by Director Baker, a second by Director Foley. Do we have to do a voice vote?
It's roll call.
Or roll call, sorry.
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Hill,
Aye.
Director Amelia Torino,
Aye.
Director Morgan Kundu.
Aye.
Director Najib,
Aye.
Director Owen Moore,
Aye.
Director Pence,
Aye.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director King.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. So next agenda item is a first read of a policy. May I have a motion? Do we need a motion? We could just talk about it, right? I sure. All right. So we have previously what was the code of ethics, and now we have code of ethics and conflict of interest, correct?
Yes, so originally there was one board approved policy for employees, C0700 or 700-2, depending on what document you were looking at. That was just the code of ethics. It was not broken down in a manner that would be easily understood as what are our ethical obligations as opposed to what are our obligations with regard to conflicts of interest. Conflicts of interest is one area that is tracked yearly by our internal audit committee. And it was difficult because of the way the policy was written and then the procedure that goes with it. And wanted to make sure that the employee policy mirrored, at least to the extent it could, what the expectations for board members are, especially given our populations. And so that's what you have before you in the ethics policy C0700, and what I'm calling the sub policy, the conflict of interest policy, which is C0700-1.
And then we also have services of outside legal counsel policy.
Yes, that one I brought back some time ago. Spent some time thinking about how to best rewrite it where it was easily understood. And this is my second attempt to get this one passed.
Any questions in the room? Director Baker?
So on the first, I really want to thank your office for providing some clarity, because, you know, a lot of times when we get policies, we get the old policy redline, and then we can see what changes, but you were really overhauling this. So it was kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around it. It was very nice then that we got emailed sort of notes on it, and it really helped. So I have no issues on those. I have a couple questions on the third one. Would this be an appropriate time
Yeah, go ahead.
to do that? Really just two questions. So the one is in the first paragraph under selection of outside legal counsel for the board.
Yes,
It says the board will review the proposals. So staff won't do that, because in general, staff reviews proposals and then kind of gives us the summary. But this is one where the board would actually put a committee together and review proposals.
right, because at the last time I brought this, it was my understanding that the board wanted to choose their counsel, and so certainly I can take on that responsibility if that is what is meant, and bring a selection panel to the board, or the board can do it this way.
I mean, I'm.
We vote on this or? what?
Well, this is a first read.
So
right?
then
it
I'll
would be-
rewrite it, I just need to hear.
Yeah, so it's feedback for Sherry, and then she can adjust it, yes.
What about a system that says that you will do what you just described unless we choose to do it independently?
I can do that.
So, and
I'm just saying, is that a good idea?
Yeah.
People want
ahead.
that incorporated in, or think it's terrible, what have you?
so so it sounds, so like you would vet and then bring like 3 finalists to the board or something.
Yes.
I'm cool with that.
But what Mark is saying is that
We
we
could
would
also-
also choose.
Or we could.
Right.
Yeah, not only could we choose among those 3, but we could say at the
Exactly.
beginning of the process, this year we want to run the process.
Exactly.
Director Noram Kunde?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, you're stating that all of these will be rewritten, like full on, because in the attachments that you sent us, it merely stated that, and I'm trying to go off without my notes, that, C0700 will be rewritten in total.
Right, that's why you didn't get one that was fully redlined,
Okay.
because I took some language and rearranged it, and I wrote other language to make it clear. So then that's why you ended up with 2 different policies, C0700, which is the rewritten ethics policy, and C0700-1, which is the separated conflicts of interest policy.
Okay, so 700-1 will not be rewritten.
It's new,
Okay,
and it's pulled out of the old ethics policy. It was all combined.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
What would be the, I guess my opinion is to have you do it all. And what are the ramifications of us doing it and then something different something happening down the road that would be liability or something like that. So I guess I would prefer, my opinion is just to have you do it.
Yeah, and the only reason I could think where the board might say, hey, we'd like to do the whole thing. I have been at the college when the board's outside counsel was also the former employer of our general counsel. And so the board might say, oh, there's kind of a conflict here because, you know everybody in that law firm and, maybe this isn't. And so I could see times where the board might just, and just for our outside counsel, where the board might say, hey, we want to do the vetting ourselves because of that. But I think in most situations, we would prefer to have your office vet them and then have us look at a small field of finalists.
I hear you.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks.
So I had a second question, if I could. If we've gotten that one. So just in the first paragraph, under selection of outside legal counsel for the college.
Yes.
So you go through a thing where the general counsel will use the most appropriate method of selection, not necessarily an RFP.
Right.
Up above, it says Wisconsin Technical College Financial Accounting Manual says that we have to select outside counsel by an RFP
Or
or an annual letter of engagement, which I assume means you're re-engaging someone who you've already worked with.
no, that
Oh.
means that I generally, regardless of how they're chosen, like to get a letter
But this would allow, in those instances, going back to when I presented this before, where either it's an emergency or I'm trying to match the panel that our insurer already has. And so it's getting information from those firms. It's kind of an RFP, but it's not really. I get information from the firms, figure out what attorneys are skilled in that area, and then say, okay, I want to hire this attorney in this area. I need a letter from you indicating the amount. What the technical college is concerned about is that I get something indicating an amount. And even with an RFP, I would do that because generally rates change from year to year with law firms. And so what you might get in an RFP for a rate might not be the same rate the next year. And so that's why I said in either event, I would get the letter, but this allows either to do the RFP or to do something short of an RFP. You're still vetting them, but it's not the full-blown RFP.
Any other questions in the room? Any questions from directors online? Okay, thank you. All right, we are now moving on to reports. Chairperson's report, that's me. I go first, okay. So on behalf of the MATC District Board, I would like to welcome our students back for the fall semester. Our board committee assignments have been made for 2025-2026. I would like to formally announce the following assignments. Director Baker will serve as the board representative to the MATC Legislative Task Force. Director Pence will serve as the board liaison to the MATC Foundation. Director Pence, as the board treasurer, will also chair the Audit Advisory Committee and serve on the FCC OPEB Trust Committee. In addition to these MATC committees, the Wisconsin Technical College District Boards Association committee assignments are as follows. Director Foley will serve as the MATC representative to the association's board of directors. For the other committees, we didn't get some and we got duplicates in others, so we'll have a follow-up conversation on signing those. The Wisconsin District Boards Association is seeking MATC representation on additional committees. So we will talk through that. Participation requires attendance at DBA meetings. I will circulate an additional sign up for those. Conflict of interest statement, you should have one at your seat. It is separate from the conflict of interest policy that General Counsel just spoke of. This is the board conflict of interest, not employee. So please complete the form and return it to either Beth or Peter tonight if possible. ACCT Leadership Congress is being held from October 22nd to the 25th in 2025 in New Orleans. The ACCT Leadership Congress is the largest professional development opportunity for community college trustees. I will be attending the conference along with Directors Baker and Pence. If any other board members are interested in attending, please contact Beth or Peter. And this concludes my report. Next, what are the dates again? The October 22nd to the 25th. Because it was this past weekend. I don't know. Because it's been one of those months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Question, for the conflict of interest, the policy A0106-2.
Yes.
Where is that located? The procedure? Is that a separate attachment?
Sure, can you send?
I can send that out to all the board members.
Thank you. And please take time to review that if you want to before you sign. Yes, Director Klein.
When you were announcing the committee liaisons, you said that Director Pence, as the treasurer, would be the chair of the internal audit committee.
Mhm.
Didn't we just rewrite that policy so that the
We are
board member is not
rewriting
the
it
chair?
next.
It's not officially rewritten.
Okay.
So as it stands right now, that's the way it's.
We're going to share the gavel.
As the policy is in process of being rewritten based on previous board conversations.
Okay. Will that be an agenda item at the next board meeting?
I don't know if it'll be the next board meeting, but it will be an agenda item, yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I think we were getting some confirmation from council and staff.
The audit committee meets September 10th. And so that's where the audit committee will review and confirm and bring it to the board as a recommendation.
So it should be in time for the next meeting.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, President's report.
Good evening, everyone. In July, I had the pleasure of welcoming our MATC retirees onto campus here to the downtown campus. They took a tour of the campus and we met for coffee afterwards. They were really impressed with all our facilities. Many of them had not been on campus for several years. They loved our student center, the new cafeteria, the increased resources that we provide to our students. So plan on continuing our outreach to our retirees. I think they're a great asset to the college. They're very big supporters of the college. So we'll be, continuing to do those types of things with them in the future and keep that relationship going. On August 14th, we held our academic year kickoff, all faculty and staff. This is an opportunity for us to connect with our colleagues, celebrate successes, and learn more about the strategic plan. We also held an evening session for our second and third shift employees. So I came back at 9 o'clock at night to meet with our employees and share with them a similar message that I had shared at 8 o'clock in the morning for our daytime employees. So in that address, I addressed faculty and staff, highlighted our role in creating really more economic mobility for our community and offering our career-focused programs. Also gave us an opportunity, me and others, opportunity to thank our employees and external partners for the vital role that they play in creating our curriculum for our programs and connecting students to the jobs that our region needs. The Biz Times Milwaukee has recognized Dr. Josephine Gomez and Marwell Santiago as notable Latino leaders for their significant contributions to the Milwaukee community. Dr. Gomez is Dean of Community Education and Student Engagement, while Marwell Santiago serves as a Director of Student Recruitment and the call center. Congratulations to both of them on the well-deserved honors. Wisconsin Health Information Management Association Educator Award. Instructor Gloria Madison was awarded the 2025 Wisconsin Health Information Management Association Educator Award. Ms. Madison is a part-time instructor in our Health Information Technology program. She was recognized for making a profound impact on the health information profession through her exceptional teaching, curriculum, leadership, and unwavering support for student success. Congratulations to Ms. Madison on this well-deserved honor. Our cosmetology program held a showcase on July 29th at the downtown campus. The show was a platform for MATC's barbering and cosmetology students to showcase their imagination. And I was there at that event, so it was pretty spectacular. Students selected fantasy themes to feature various beauty, makeup, next-gen barbering, nail, hairstyles with a runway setup. And so the event was emceed by Tracy Dorn and department's educational assistant and local cosmetologist. Always a great event to be. It was the second year in a row that I've been at the event. Always great to see the imagination and the creativity of those students. MATC's Workforce Solutions team was awarded funding for all 3 workforce advancement training grants submitted this year. And this is an exceptional accomplishment in a highly competitive cycle. Awarded grants were for the ATI Laddish LLC for $146,515 submitted by Martha Chavaria. Pindle Global Precision for $61,580 submitted by Robin Hoke. And Guardian Credit Union for $9,269 submitted by Tricia Sturr. The WAT grant covers 65% of training costs for companies, reducing the share to just 35%, or of the 54 statewide applications, only 33 of them were funded, making this a significant win for our team and for our employer partners. This award directly supports over our $2 million annual goal and reflects the strength of our collaborations and commitment to training. Congratulations to all of those involved. We celebrated the opening of the new Health Care Academic Career Pathway Office on Monday, August 18th. The new offices will allow deans, pathway advisors, and retention coaches to better serve our students and also serve. So just in the last 3 years, the enrollment in our health pathway has increased by 40%. So along with that growth, we want to make sure that students are met with the right services and the right spaces in order to meet their needs. One of our Bright Idea initiatives was to have a mindfulness creator space for MATC faculty, staff, and students, which began this week at the downtown campus cafeteria. Mindful Mondays is called, are an opportunity to connect and get creative with students and fellow faculty and staff members at MATC's Bright Ideas Mindfulness Creator Space. The pop-up events will be held twice a month at the downtown campus cafeteria from noon to 2 p.m. So on to enrollment, and we're doing very well with our enrollment for the fall semester. Looking at our goal of reaching this year 9,500 FTE, we're well on that path. For we have right now 4,000 for the fall semester, 4,204 FTE as of August 18th, which is 97% of our goal for this term. And if you looked at our budgeted FTE goal of 9,200 for the year, we're actually at 102%. So we're 2% over at this point for our goal. And we still have multiple sessions beginning for 12 and 8-week courses. So there's many more students that will be registering between now and then, which we see that this number will continue to increase. Speaking of enrollment, between April and August, we launched 44 brand new express enrollment registration events. These events generated strong interest from students, and we had about 1,200 students registered through those sessions, which is something that we started for the first time this summer. In addition, our in-person student orientation came back. We used to have these orientations virtually. We actually had now students coming back onto our campuses, and I went to all their campus kickoffs for these orientations. We had great presence of our students at each of our locations. And so we saw over 900 students participate in those new student orientations. These provided new students the opportunity to connect with faculty, staff, peers, and preparing for a successful transition into their programs. So we're very much encouraged by the success of those enrollment sessions, plus the orientations, as really two additional ways that we're engaging our students very early in the process, so they can feel engaged, feel a sense of belonging, and get ready as they transition into their new educational journeys here at MATC. And that concludes my report.
Yeah, so two questions.
Yes.
So one, the retirees,
Yes,
do we give them something to do?
we can. They're looking for things. They are looking for things. They are
Thinking as a
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, they are looking for
It's a
things.
thing, like people might want to do mentoring or
Yeah.
help with something.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially if they're showing up, they're still passionate about our students and.
I think there are multiple, opportunities for that. And we started talking to them about that because I think that some of them, as we were just talking about things happening on campus, or that kind of, you could see that they were getting excited about it. So I do agree with you that that's something that we want to do. I think either mentoring or some other activity that we can create that may be obviously fruitful for both them, you know, and also for our students.
Right, something that is actually needed.
That's,
Right.
and I think it could be beneficial to both.
Right. And then the other is just a comment in terms of our enrollment.
Yes.
That I was very disappointed to see federally, the Department of Justice has said that they will not defend the HSI initiative anymore. And obviously, we're still on track to just improve enrollment in all different student areas. And that was always, you know, we always knew that it was tentative, but it was nice to have that goal and to think that possibly there was some funding there. But I think that was a really recent.
It's very recent.
Yeah,
That's correct.
decision.
So that's a recent decision by the Department of Justice. We're going to continue working towards that goal. It may not be any funding, it may not be any status or designation tied to it. I think as we continue to try to serve a greater proportion, a greater numbers of students in our community, as something that we can look at. It may be something that as that gets more solidified, hopefully it's not, but gets more solidified, we may have to kind of switch the way we've been doing certain things when it comes to the HSI status. But nonetheless, we know that we have a growing population of Latina individuals in the community. We have to continue to serve them just like we serve all our students in our community. So as of right now, we're leaving that as a goal, continuing, but we know that the chances of that being, well, we know that the funding will be impacted, but even as a designation, that's something we'll have to keep our eyes on and see what happens in the future.
All right. Any other questions? Director Pence?
All right, the Investment and OPEB Oversight Committee met on July 31st. We had representatives from PFM Asset Management. Dr. Cruz joined us. Paul, Sherry, Eva, Sue, Jolene, and the board treasurer joined the committee for this meeting. Just as a reminder to our new board member, the investment assets are trusts that are managed independently, but we have two policies that are very similar and include the same same members on the committee, and also are managed by PFM Asset Management. We are given this is a condensed version of all of the funds and things that we're in. So with respect to the FCC trust performance as of June 30th, year to date, and one year period is largely consistent with the benchmark. It should be noted that June 30th reporting did not include the complete performance data for alternative investments, and such data typically lags other market data by several weeks. Long-term results 3, 5, and since inception intervals remain closely aligned with benchmarks. The consultant provided an update on forthcoming allocations to alternative investment designed to maintain the trust assets in accordance with established asset allocation targets. The finance personnel then indicated that the annual permissible draw from the FCC trust would soon occur, representing the fiscal year's allocation to support the college operations as outlined in the trust spending policy. The OPEB trust, similar but slightly lagged the benchmark. Finance staff reported the actuarial calculations for the 60/30 OPEB liability are in progress for inclusion in the year-end financial statements. The committee is scheduled to meet for the next quarterly performance review in November. Since it is within our policy, it was suggested to add a yearly consultant review as an agenda item for this next meeting. So that is that. Question.
There is a proposal in DC. I don't know, none of us know what's going to actually happen with anything in DC, but there's a proposal to open up 401k investments to alternative investments. And while that may very well, if that is adopted, may cause the pricing for those alternative assets to get a one-time bump as everybody buys some. But I would like to get some analysis from our financial advisor as to whether longer term that means that the risks of the alternative investments and the likely projected income from them are going to go in opposite directions, meaning more risk, less proposed or promised margins, and probably less performance. In other words, I'd like to hear from them about whether this is something that should change our alternative investment allocations and whether that's a short-term issue or a long-term issue.
That was discussed at this last meeting, and that's part of our Paul, did you want to chime in a little bit on the alternatives?
Sure.
Thank you for the question. Good evening, members of the board. So the question did come up on asset allocation with specific regard to alternative investments as we were reviewing one additional fund to keep us within the parameters of the investment policy on the FCC trust. There's a much lesser amount allowed in the OPEB trust. And as a result of our conversation, we will have an agenda item for our November 5th meeting of those groups where we're reviewing the first quarter to talk specifically about our asset allocation that's in the investment policies and whether or not we should adjust those and get some advice from PFMF Asset Management on that issue.
Okay, can we get a report here on that specifically?
Following that meeting, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good question.
Okay, that concludes our reports. Can I call on Stephanie Townsend to present the grants report?
Good afternoon. I am Stephanie Townsend, manager of sponsor projects. I know that you already have probably heard my pre-recording, but I did want to just point out a few things from that recording. First thing is that we're a small yet mighty team of 4, consisting of a manager and 3 grant coordinators. But one of those coordinators is specifically dedicated to our Perkins grants. And with our team thus far this year, we've already been able to secure $5.3 million in public funding through WTCS. Our goal for this fiscal year is $5.6 million, which is only 1% over last year, and I'm sure we'll surpass that. We've already, last year we ended, with $5.98 million. So I'm confident that we'll surpass it through our strategic initiatives with different partners, as well as through WTCS and their leadership grants that they provide us each year. Another thing that I wanted to point out was that while we were able to secure all 5 competitive grants totaling $1.75 million. I specifically wanted to point out the core industry grant that focused on funeral services, mainly because MATC is the only technical college that has this program. So this gives us the opportunity to enhance this program for our students, which was a great win for us. Additionally, we manage other grants here besides the ones that we received this fiscal year with WTCS. We have continuous grants from prior years. Our total this year that we'll be managing is about $12 million, with the total for both combined is about $17 million. Now that $12 million is a holistic amount, the amount that we received when we first received the awards from each of those different grants. The number changes as we go through each year, depending on the contract and the budget. So we don't have one specific amount that we receive every year for all of those grants, but it is a holistic amount. We also have sub-awards like that biotech grant that we received in our most recently collaboration with UWM for the Department of Energy for $900,000. This year, we will continue to grow, we'll continue to partner, we'll continue to work with our colleagues to find additional funding, and we'll continue to work hand in hand with our partners. I don't know if you have any additional questions after you've gotten that. And I did add some frequently asked questions that we've received as we go through the grants. I also collaborate with our foundations department. I work closely with Jenny Finn for anything that may come up. We also co-lead our grants council with a lot of representatives throughout the college, just to make sure that we are looking at the goals, the strategic initiatives of the college, and we are responding accordingly.
Any questions, Director Baker?
Yeah, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so
No
if you don't have
worries.
any answer. That's cool. We can think about it, but obviously we know a number of things have changed in the Department of Education, and do we anticipate that, and some of the other federal departments, do we anticipate that things like C campus grants, things like that won't be changing? Are we are we confident that things that we've been receiving, we're gonna continue to receive, or are some of those questionable?
As of right now, I don't have an answer about that. However, we did just launch a kickoff, the WTCS kickoff for all of the grants for the upcoming year. And they did say that at this point, they didn't see any issues for grants such as AEFLA or Perkins. But again, we have an ever-changing world right now, so we can't say yes or no.
And I was delighted to see that the adult education grant did come in, because I was kind of freaking about that for a little while. And I think maybe C campus is the one I'm a little concerned about right now, because that's the sort of thing that could disappear. And we get a lot of money that's, you know, it's for our students with families. So we'll keep an eye on it.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you. Okay, and next we have the academic showcase presentation.
Hello, good afternoon. I'd like to ask Sandy McLean and Sean to join me at the table, please. Justin's here. And Justin as well. We're a mighty team of many tonight, but thank you for having us. I'm Barb Cannell, I'm Executive Dean of Academic Integrity and Systems. And I have the pleasure tonight of sharing with you and previously sharing my recorded presentation about our academic program showcase, which the academic program showcase is a new process that we're implementing this fall to review programs to be in compliance with both the HLC requirements as well as the board policy, where we actually look at programs on an annual basis. Sandy and Dwayne co-chaired our Academic Integration Committee work team, as well as they recruited Justin, who I'm pleased to say was faculty and now is our newest associate dean in protective services. So they are very instrumental in overseeing a committee that was both academics and faculty as well as administration over the past year to create this process. And we're pleased to say we're in the middle of launching at this moment. We kicked it off on Coordination Day, formerly known as Coordination Day, now Academic Kickoff, to start the process with faculty training. And we'll continue to support the faculty and the deans and the pathways to implement this process. And I think the best part about this process is it allows the faculty to actually meet with leadership and talk about their programs in a really focused, concise way. Health has been doing this for a couple of years, and so the model was built on their best practices and others in the world of evaluation. And so we're looking forward to seeing how that process will go. We've aligned the process with the timelines of the college, and so the information that the faculty produce in this showcase report will be used for planning, both for the budget as well as staffing, construction, capital equipment, and things that then guide us into the next year. So as I said, this is an annual process, and every program will participate. And we'll look forward to sharing our results as we get to the spring and use the results in the actual planning process. So I did share a presentation with you, and so wondering if you have questions for me or the others at this time.
Any questions in the room? Any questions online? Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, is there any new business?
I'd like to have us get a report on Zancel. I've forgotten the timing exactly, whether it would be the next board meeting or maybe one or two after that, as to when this is expected. But when we were having the Zancel discussions, in my mind, there were always two competing interests. One is, are we spending money that we shouldn't be spending, or are we spending money twice for what we're getting on the one hand? But on the other hand, a concern that Zancel had grown because there was so much that needed to be done that wasn't otherwise being addressed. So what I'm asking for is a report, once we have the financial results in that you talked about later, that says, yes, we spent more, we spent less, here's what that's about, but also to be able to tell us that you've looked into the question of whether there are things that used to be getting done that are not getting done as part of that change.
I would add to that because I think one of the other issues was consistency across some of the areas where it was not being used in the same or approved in the same way. So I would just add on to that also just an understanding of have we created consistency across departments and how it's being used. Thank you. Any other?
Yeah, since this is the second time we've heard about the part-time faculty issue, and this doesn't have to come back to a full board, but even if we could just get a report from administration on.
So we should have you should have an email with kind of the background that Vice President Bonds sent out, I believe, after the last meeting.
Right.
And I do have a paper copy of it if you want to look at it. But yes, if there's anything missed or that you still have questions on, then.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I heard here was that the administration and the faculty were still meeting and that there were moving parts since then.
Okay.
I do remember
Got it.
that.
Okay.
I do remember that.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
But yeah, so if this
You can pass it down to
says
us.
something.
Yeah. Okay.
You're asking for an update.
Yeah.
On the whatever meeting.
On whatever's been happening here, and as you guys resolve this, just to let us know where the status is, because this was the second month that we had heard about it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other items? Anything online? Okay. All right, future events announcements, September 23rd, 2025, the MATC District Board meeting is at 4 o'clock here in this room. And then I already mentioned the ACCT in my reports, that's coming up in October as well. And I believe Vice Chair has a motion for us.
Yes, I move that the district board convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.851C and G of the Wisconsin statute to discuss item 11A, personal matters discussion. The board may reconvene into open session to take action on matters discussed in closed session under item 11A if necessary.
You have a second?
Aye.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Director Mendieta Ramos and a second by Director Pence. I can do voice vote, right?
Roll call.
Oh, you got it. Roll call.
Director Hill,
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Aye.
Director Marmakunde,
Aye.
Director Najib,
Aye.
Director Von Moore,
I think we lost her.
okay, Director Pence,
Aye.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Case,
Aye.
Director Tolan.
Aye.
Okay, let's take 15. Does that work for everybody? Grab some food, take a bio break, and then we'll come back.
Mhm.
You want us to? Oh, yeah. Yes, so if you are comfortable turning that in, please do, otherwise.
It just
okay.
requires a
Yeah.
signature by you.
So,
And I don't really.
This guy.
Maybe sit loudly. Yes, maybe you sign Erica's. It
Oh,
requires.
Just
Just these one. Yeah.
Right, so you have this. This will be. Okay.
Do that.
We're here.
It's okay. Thank you.
I got it.
Thank you.